Let's say that somebody was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not. Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception, they excel at them. Black culture. When you think about it, you look at that culture and you say, what are the besetting sins and characteristics of it? And then you say, could somebody come in a lawful church membership embodying that culture? No, they have to self-consciously repudiate that culture.
Evangelical Christianity has always been rooted in racism and always been rooted in white supremacy.
Somebody was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not.
With all of the evangelicals using Charlie Kirk as a martyr,
call Charlie Kirk a modern American martyr for the faith,
is due to the white supremacist ideas that he upheld.
Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization in evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception.
When I think white culture, I think genocidal, colonial, racist. I think mass destruction of nations, culture, places, and things, theft of people's ideas, people's culture, people's things. I think the highest rates of child sexual assault are white men. Bestiality is white men. In family incest are white people. But the list can go on about how you're using statistics incorrectly and just lying and being very racist towards black people while welcoming black people into your white church for white people and want black people to be white. It is insane to me that you can be and say you are a Christian and a man of God and be a pastor. You're a pastor and you're coming online and you're spewing hatred, racism, and just straight up fallacies about black people, all while upholding mass shootings, violence, sexual assault, mass theft, destruction. The list goes on of what white culture has done to the world and what white people continuously do to the world. But you want to vilify black people on your platform because you are reaching out to the sentiments of white racist people on the right in this country. Because, like I said, white evangelical Christianity is a form of religious extremism. And that's what's at the forefront and the top of this country. America is a religious extremist country in which white people get to be extremists. And it's just okay. You get to come on and espouse this hateful message. I want to drive home, guys. This is a pastor. This is a pastor. This is a pastor. So a pastor coming on and not being very Christ-like is not any form of Christianity that's real. These people are in a cult. This is a cult. This is a cult. This is why the Proud Boys, the KKK, all these people come out of this version of Christianity because it's not Christianity.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Reports, where we get an outsider's view with an insider's clarity. It never fails. Every time people try to argue that evangelical Christianity in America isn't built on white supremacy, another pastor jumps online and proves the point in high definition. Recently, one so-called man of God went on camera, openly spewing the kind of racist dehumanizing rhetoric that would make segregationists from the 1950s nod in approval. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. His message was very clear. He said if a black person came to his church, yes, they would technically be eligible for membership, but there was a catch rooted in whiteness. He said they would absolutely not be allowed to participate in, embody, and practice what he called black culture in his church. And then he proudly explained why. According to him, black culture is defined by evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. He claimed black people still kill and destroy and are sinful to the core. He went down the typical white supremacist checklist: fatherlessness, sexual immorality, child molestation, crime rates. He said that almost every negative statistic applies to black people without exception, and he said it with the boldness of a man who has built his platform on racism disguised as theology. He even tried to back it up with a biblical comparison, referencing Paul's comments about Cretans in the book of Titus, as if entire ethnic groups can be labeled morally inferior by default. This is not a fringe YouTuber. This is a pastor, someone who leads a congregation, someone who claims to teach the gospel, and yet he stood there and spoke about black people as if they were subhuman, all while insisting that his church is loving and open to all, as long as those who enter renounce their own identity and assimilate to white evangelical culture. He framed it as a matter of doctrine. According to him, if a black person wants to be accepted, they must self-consciously repudiate their culture in order to join what he considers a lawful church. And this is exactly what the black community has called out white evangelical Christianity for decades. It's not just about theology, it's about power, control, and the maintenance of white identity through religion. And it's no coincidence that these are the same circles that rush to defend Charlie Kirk, lift him up as a martyr, and treat him like a spiritual hero. The reason they call him a martyr isn't because he died or sacrificed anything. It's because he represents and protects their worldview of white dominance, conservative nationalism, and fear of black expression.
Charlie Kirk, who, by the way, talk about the 12 apostles being martyred. Charlie Kirk was martyred today. He was martyred. You say, well, I thought he was a political activist. When your worldview is informed by the Word of God, those who oppose you and seek to do you harm, they do not oppose your view, they oppose your God.
What's even more ironic is that when you flip the mirror, the laundry list of horrors that white evangelicals try to project onto black communities fit their own history with terrifying accuracy. When people think about white culture on a global scale, they think about genocide, colonization, stolen lands, forced conversations, and the destructions of entire nations. They think of transatlantic slavery, Jim Crow, apartheid, the Klan, Proud Boys, neo-Nazis, and white militias wrapped in the Bible and the flag. They think of mass shootings, school bombings, domestic terrorism, and politicians backed by churches that preach hate behind stained glass. They think of sexual abuse scandals in churches, child trafficking rings run by white men with power, and entire denominations covering for predators in the name of protecting the ministry. Yet somehow, these pastors look into the camera with a straight face and say black culture is the problem. They talk about crime while ignoring the fact that the highest rates of child sexual assault in America come from white men. They talk about bestiality and incest while ignoring that those statistics overwhelmingly point to white offenders. They talk about violence while refusing to acknowledge that the deadliest mass shooters and domestic terrorists in the country aren't black. They are white men radicalized by the very ideology these churches nurture. And the most disturbing part, they do it under the name of Christ.
If you're a Christian white parent who loves the Lord and loves your children, that you need to have the talk. And the talk that we're referencing is the talk that takes your children according to their maturity at the proper time, the appropriate time, and says there are certain parts of town that you cannot go, and there are certain people that you cannot be around.
Yep.
Right? If there's someone who is black in our church and they've been in our church and we know them and they love the Lord Jesus Christ, great. We're not talking about that person, right. But we're talking about when you go into a crowd of people. If you go into a crowd of strangers and they're white strangers, there's some danger. If they're black strangers, there is 30 times more danger. Them's the facts. And it is actually a failure of your parental duty. White parents, please hear me. If you teach your children growing up, if you lie to them and say all people and all races of people in our country are the same, they are not. You are actually depriving your child of factual, truthful information that could save their life.
This is why people keep saying white evangelical Christianity in America isn't just hypocritical, it's extremist. It is a religious cult that uses Jesus as a cover for white supremacy. It's the reason groups like Proud Boys, the Christian nationalists, rise from the same ideological soil. This isn't Christianity rooted in love, humility, or justice. It's Christianity rooted in racial dominance, fear, and control. And the fact that a pastor can go online, say these things proudly, and still get applause from his followers prove that this isn't an outlier. This is the foundation. This is why so many people say America itself operate like a religious extremist nation. White people get to be radical in the name of God, and it's normalized. They can spew hatred, call it doctrine, and still sit in the positions of leadership while preaching sermons about morality. The real question is how long this version of Christianity is going to keep hiding behind the Bible, because more people are calling it what it is. Not holy, not righteous, not Christ-like. It is a cult built on supremacy, fear of black identity, and a desperate need to maintain the lie that whiteness is purity and everyone else is depravity. You can't call that faith. You can't can't call that gospel. And the more they speak, the more they expose that this isn't about saving souls. It's about protecting a system. So what do you all think? Should these pastors be allowed to call this Christianity? Or is it time to start naming it for what it really is? White supremacy, extremism disguised as religion? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and helps you to recommend this video to a wider audience. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.